Hey everyone, how are we getting on? Hope we're all well. Today I've just got a little video. I'm going to be walking you guys through how I went from being a barber to now being 19, dropped out of uni, running my e-commerce business full time. So if you're someone who's interested in e-commerce, business in general, or any of that good stuff, keep watching. Anyway, I'm just going to jump right into it. So a bit of context, the e-commerce business I run is called Poseidon Hair. I sell all sorts of hairstyling products to young men all over the world. I started it back in June 2021, but my career in hair started long before that. So I think it was about 2018 summer when I went on holiday with my family, and I noticed that I really liked the way my hair looked when I came straight out of the ocean. So I kind of looked on the internet to see if there was any products that could help your hair achieve that look, and sure enough I stumbled across sea salt spray. I think I bought a few different sea salt sprays and they worked, but none of them were exactly what I wanted. And other than that, I think I bought a few hair products from Pete and Pedro, which was the brand Alpha M was running at the time. So that would have been when I was about 13, 14 years old. That was my first introduction to any type of hair products. Moving on, pretty soon after, I fell into the world of cutting hair. I remember my friend Jamie taking me to the barbers. We went to Cut and Sew in Dublin. Anyone from Dublin will be familiar with Cut and Sew. If you're not, they're kind of the biggest chain of barbershops in Dublin. Really cool vibe, cool place. And it was kind of unlike anywhere I'd been before. Going there inspired me to start my own journey with cutting hair. So that's exactly what I did. I started cutting hair in about September 2018. And on a side note, I actually did that for almost 5 years. I only stopped cutting hair around a month ago. So my journey with cutting hair is something I'm super grateful for, but it just wasn't a career path for me. Now I'm going to move on a bit more into how I got into hairstyling products. So like I mentioned, I bought a sea salt spray and a few different hairstyling products for myself. Obviously when I was cutting hair, I would use those said products on my clients to make the haircuts appear better for Instagram and to just give the client a bit more of a satisfactory visit. And sometimes really liked how the hair products made their hair turn out. So I thought to myself, why don't I sell this stuff in here? I remember looking in to see if I could buy some hair products wholesale, but I remember the quantities were just way too large for my little operation. So that wasn't an option for me. So I started just buying them from the shops and putting a little bit of a price increase on them, but people kind of just sold past this and realized they could get it in the shop for cheaper. So that didn't really work either. And that's when I decided I'm gonna make my own. So I looked onto Alibaba and AliExpress and all over the internet for suppliers, and I couldn't find anyone that would take me for a small quantity. So that's why I decided I'd make my own. I created a brand, it was called Jack Kent, and I still have the little logo. I set up an Instagram, started marketing it a bit, and then I started looking for suppliers. I looked on Alibaba, AliExpress, and kind of all over the internet, but I couldn't find any suppliers that would take me on a small first order, so that brand completely failed. A couple months later, I decided I would make my own. So I started my second brand, which was called Hefo Hair. Myself and my dad made 30 bottles of sea salt spray in our kitchen, and I started selling them in school. But the ingredients we used must have been horrible because the concoction looked awful. And stupidly, I picked up see-through bottles, so nobody wanted to buy them. I think I sold 2 out of the 30. To combat this, I paid my friend Liam €50 to spray paint all the bottles white, and I got all the labels redone. This worked for a little while, but I remember the white spray paint would start coming off the bottles and it just looked horrible. That and the fact that the products just weren't made correctly led the brand to fail. That's when I decided to just give up making hair products. I thought it wasn't for me. Fast forward a little bit to the summer of 2020, I was working in a barbershop in my local area, and this barbershop had their own range of hairstyling products. And I remember the manager one day telling me to go into the storage room and restock the products. When I was in the storage room, I took the opportunity to take a picture of the invoice they'd received from the suppliers. So I kept working in that barbershop for another little while in hopes that I would start my own hair product one day. And that's exactly what happened. In January 2021, another lockdown hit. And at the time I was in 5th year in school. For anyone not from Ireland, I think that's 10th or 11th grade in America or year 11 in the UK. So no one was actually doing any schoolwork because we were doing school from home. So I was pretty much just sitting in my room all day doing nothing. I decided to make some good use out of my time and start another brand. That's when I started brainstorming with different ideas. I knew I wanted to create a sea salt spray, and I kind of loved the whole idea of Greek gods and mythology. So I decided to combine the two and use the name Poseidon, because Poseidon is, of course, the god of the sea. That's when I got onto the suppliers and begged them to take me on. On their website, it said they had a minimum order quantity of 200 units per product, and somehow over email I managed to convince them to send me 30 of each. So I put my first ever investment into the business. I think I spent around 400 or 500 euro, and it was the scariest thing ever. Nevertheless, I was so glad I did it. I got the products around mid-June and made my first sale. How I got my first sale was actually funny. I sent the link to the website into a Facebook forum, which was for people in my local area. And I just said, I'm 17 years old, I'm trying to start my own business, can anyone please buy it? And I remember it was a lady called Margaret who placed the first ever order. I got on my bike and I cycled down to her house with the products, and hand deliver them to her. I was so excited. I finally made my first ever sale in e-commerce, and I thought the summer was my oyster. Sales were just going to keep increasing. But did that actually happen? No. For the rest of the summer, I got absolutely zero sales. One of my friends told me I needed to set up social media pages for the business, but this didn't really make sense to me because I thought, who would actually buy a hair product without trying it? Nevertheless, I set up a TikTok page, and to my absolute amazement, the videos blew up. And let me tell you, I was not prepared for the demand. All the products sold out in about 2 or 3 days. So I contacted my suppliers and I said I needed to put the same order in again. And that's exactly what I did. I kept building up hype on the TikTok, and about a month later, the stock arrived. I put them back live on the website, and guess what? 2 days later, sold out again. This is how I learned the hard way the importance of stock control. It's always necessary to overestimate how many of your products are going to sell. That way you're not stuck with excess demand and a ton of lost sales revenue. I eventually started putting in bigger orders and attempted to expand worldwide. This is where things absolutely took off for me, and I was moving way too fast. Coming into 2022, I was shipping worldwide and the TikTok was continuing to grow. That's when I started to get some ridiculous sales days. There was 2 days in February where I hit over 1K in sales. This is while I was away on holidays as well, so I had someone at home fulfilling the orders for me. And this is where I experienced the biggest setback we've had so far. I had paid about €400 for these prepaid stamps for products going worldwide. And the girl I had at home who was fulfilling orders had put the stamps on all of the products and brought them to the post office, only to be told that all of it was ineligible and she couldn't ship anything out. So those 2 1K days I talked about earlier, everything got refunded. I actually ended up losing money because I had already paid for the stamps and I still had to send her money for packaging the orders. So that is when things became very stressful. I knew I wanted to keep going with this business, but at that point I had a very important decision to make. I had my end of school exams coming up that June, and if I put all my time, energy and focus into the business, I knew my exam results would suffer and I wouldn't be able to go to the university I wanted to go to. So as much as I really wanted to continue on with Poseidon, I decided to park the business for now and focus on my studies. And that's exactly what I did. I put my head down for those few months, studied my arse off, and then I went in training that summer. So there was about 6 months where nothing got done on the business whatsoever. On maybe the last week of in training, I was so sick and tired of just drinking every day and partying, and I knew I was better than all of that. I just wanted to go home and get focused on my work again. So when I got home, I really dialed in and started working hard again. That is when I found the fantastic fulfillment center that I work with today. If you don't know what a fulfillment center is, it's also known as a 3PL, which stands for third-party logistics. Essentially, it's a warehouse with employees who take care of all your orders. This meant that I could finally ship worldwide without having to worry about anything. And it also took a lot of pressure off of my back because it meant that I didn't need to fulfill the orders myself anymore. I sent all my stock over at the beginning of 2023 and the rest has been history. I've been consistently increasing my sales and I plan to continue doing so. And that pretty much leads me up to this point in time right now. I made the decision that university really just wasn't for me. I wasn't enjoying the course and I was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I was kind of the same with my business. I knew university was taking focus away from it. So that's when I made the decision to cut all the noise out of my life. I dropped out of university, I quit cutting hair just to go full pelt with the business. And it's the best decision I've ever made. I'm happier than ever. I'm in Marbella with my best friend at the moment and I've got so much cool stuff planned for the future. So if you want to stick around for the journey, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Hope you lads took something from that story anyway. If you want me to do any more videos breaking down specific parts of the business, I'd be more than happy to. All you have to do is leave it in the comments below. And that's pretty much everything. Thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.